Can we just talk about the big W that Trump just landed at NATO today in an extraordinary moment where he's been fighting since term one to get these other NATO countries to pay their damn fair share so that the United States doesn't have to shoulder far more than its respective burden in providing for this defense. We saw it because Trump tweeted it out, a message he'd received from the NATO Secretary General on his way over there saying, what a great victory, Mr. President, 5%, that all these nations are going to be able to pay 5%. Now, Trump had wanted 2% in his first term, so he managed to get even more this time around. And today, here is NATO Secretary General as Trump was sitting there.
For too long, one ally, the United States, carried too much of the burden of that commitment. And that changes today. President Trump, dear Donald, you made this change possible. Your leadership on this has already produced $1 trillion in extra spending from European allies since 2016. And the decisions today will produce trillions more for our common defense to make us stronger and fairer by equalizing spending between America and America's allies.
I have a couple thoughts. So the first of which is that I think that this is not a coincidence that this announcement was made official right after President Donald Trump put on a masterclass in the Middle East the last 2 weeks, and after President Trump was basically scolding Iran and Israel, telling them to knock it off, and then he gets right on a plane and flies to Europe, which is, look, these world leaders know that you shouldn't mess with Donald Trump. Another component of this, which I think is incredibly important, is this is really good for Europe. Obama tried to do this as well. Again, no one's reporting on this. Obama actually had in some of his official foreign policy documents, going back to like 2010, it's time to try to get the Europeans to pay their fair share. But Obama did it in a typical State Department, bureaucratic, kind of like go through a process. We have to have a committee, we have to have a study, and it takes like 4 years. Donald Trump just goes into a meeting and he throws it down and he says, you need to pay more. You have been freeloading. We're paying way too much money here for NATO. This is good for Europe. It is a good thing for a country and a series of countries to have a vested interest and to have a stakeholder type equity and to have an incentive in your own defense. It is bad when another country is paying for your own defense. Why? So when something like the Russian-Ukrainian war breaks out, it would be better if Europe was more invested in this, because then they might not want to spend as much money. They might be more invested in peace. It's easy to want war if somebody else is financing it. Who's sending all that money? It's $200 billion of American money when the rest of Europe is saying, well, America, can you spend more money? So this just goes back to very basic self-governance principles. It's good for Europe.